In the past, I've done tutorials on a 2x2 piston door, a 3x3 piston door, and a 5x5 piston door. And today, it is time to escalate things. This is a 10x10 piston door. I'm going to be teaching you how to build this 10x10 piston door. Push button for satisfaction. Opening this door is incredibly satisfying. I mean, look at this thing. It's an absolute monster. I absolutely love big piston doors. I don't know what it is about them, but I just find them seriously cool. Now, it doesn't actually look that appealing on the opening and closing sequence, but it does make up for that in just sheer size and epicness. Now, I will just briefly mention, I did not come up with this design. This design was done by Mumbo Jumbo, and there will be a link in the description to the video that inspired me. Also, this is only for Java. This does not work in Bedrock version of Minecraft. You're certainly welcome to try, but I guarantee you it's not going to work. So this here is one module, and each of these little sections here are individual flying machines. So this here is an individual flying machine, this is an individual flying machine, and this is an individual flying machine. So every time a pulse gets sent to this observer here, this will power this block, powering this piston, which powers the flying machine in return. Now, the way you actually power this is incredibly simple. So if we push this button here, that's going to send a pulse to this sticky piston, which then pushes this observer, powering this redstone repeater, powering this redstone dust, which then powers the entire activation system, powering the door. So if we go ahead and push this button, the door will be sent on its merry way. And you can see the entire system gets activated, and you can see its individual flying machines pushing against one another to send the door up. And to bring the door back down, all you need to do is put a piece of redstone dust to power this observer here, which sends a pulse to this piston here, and that activates the entire flying machine again and sends it back down. And there you go, you can see the door is going all the way back down. You can actually see when it's just one module, each of these modules actually separate on the opening and closing sequence, because they are all individual flying machines. I really do hope that made sense. I'm not the best at explaining stuff. The other great thing about these piston doors is that they're completely expandable. You can make these as big as you want. So for example, you could make yourself a 15x20 piston door, and this thing is absolutely enormous, and I went ahead and did that just to show you guys. If we go ahead and push this button, you'll see this door is now opening, and it looks very glitchy and messy, but it is just really cool, and it's an absolutely enormous door. You can take it even further. You could build yourself a 100x100 piston door. This thing is absolutely huge, and there will be a link in the description to my 100x100 piston door video. I highly recommend you go check it out. It is seriously cool. Now, before I show you how to build this piston door, I should probably tell you all the different materials you're going to need to build this thing. And I warn you, it's a big door, so it's going to be expensive. You're going to need 200 observers, 26 redstone dust, 3 repeaters, 70 obsidian, 106 honey blocks, 106 slime blocks, 3 buttons, and 50 sticky pistons. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to place a observer upright. Then place a sticky piston on top of that observer. Then get some slime blocks and do a little L shape like this. Now, you can use slime blocks or honey blocks. It doesn't matter which one you use, because you're going to be alternating between the two anyway. Then get a sticky piston and place it facing downwards, and then place another 2 slime blocks like so. Then place a sticky piston on top of this slime block, place a observer going into this sticky piston, and then place another observer going into this block. Just break that. Now you want to get your slime blocks and build up by 2 like this. Do another little L shape and then build up by 2 again. And then place a observer here, a sticky piston, then get your honey block and do a little L shape like this with 4 blocks. Then another observer, another sticky piston, and then 5 slime blocks in an L shape like this. And now that you've built this entire module, you actually need to build the activation system to activate this module. But before we do that, we need to actually place a obsidian block or an immovable block above the door to stop it. So you don't have to use obsidian, you can use furnaces or any other immovable block. So if we just go ahead and build up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 blocks, and then break all the other blocks underneath so the door will stop at that 11th block. And now you actually want to go ahead and build the activation system. So if we go ahead and place some obsidian against all of these sticky pistons, like so, then you want to place a observer going downwards, just break this observer here, and you want to place an entire strip like this. And then you want to place observers going in to these blocks of obsidian. So if we go ahead and just place a block here, place a redstone repeater on top of it, get another block here, place a observer and make sure that it's facing in this direction. Break the blocks underneath. Get yourself a sticky piston going in to the observer, so it will push the observer into this repeater. Break that block and place a block here and get yourself a button. Because when you push this button is going to power this block, which powers this sticky piston, pushing the observer, powering the redstone repeater. And now that you have the activation system built and the module, all you need to do is place a piece of redstone dust to activate this entire module. And you can see the module is now being sent on its merry way, and it will stop at that obsidian block. And now to bring the door back down, all you need to do is place a block right here in front of this observer and put a piece of redstone dust to activate this observer, and this will activate this bottom flying machine here, which then brings the entire door back down to the surface. And there you go, you can see the door is now back on its merry way. And now all you need to do is build the rest of the modules and the rest of the activation system. However, it is something very important that you need to do. You need to make sure you build the activation system first. You can't build the modules first because otherwise it will completely break the door. And this is actually a perfect example, and I'll show you what I mean by how it breaks it. Now that I've built this activation system and the module, and I've not put the redstone dust there, it's going to send this module off and it's going to completely break the door. And there you go. You can see that the door is now completely broken and it is not going to function. So you want to make sure that you don't do that. So I just completely removed that broken section of the door. And if we go ahead and place this piece of redstone dust here, then you see that it activates all of the observers, but it's not actually going to activate this module here. And you just repeat the same thing for the rest of the build. Now that I've actually fully constructed this door, I just realized there's actually one little section I forgot to show you to do. And that is to activate the door by the button over there. And it's actually incredibly simple. And I'll actually show you how it works over here. So you can see here, this is where the little activation system is. And you just place a sticky piston on top of the sticky piston facing the opposite direction. And this observer powers this redstone line, which then goes into this redstone line here, powering all of this here so you can send the door back down. And then to power the door from a button in front of the actual door, you just want to have a redstone line running underneath this button, going into this repeater, going into this block, and then running a redstone line all the way to this block here, because then this will power both. And then when you push this button, you can see that it opens and closes the door. Now, before you ever test your doors, this is really, really important. Always make a backup. And making a backup is incredibly easy. All you ever need to do to make a backup is to go into your world, click edit, and then create a backup by clicking make backup, or you can open the backups folder and the world folder and you can manually do it that way. And now that the backup has been done, you can see that it says backed up in the top right hand corner. Go back into your world and then you can test the door to see if it actually works. So if we go ahead and push this button here, this door should work. There you go, and you can see the piston door is now on its merry way, and it will stop at this line of obsidian, and then you can see that this lines up with all of the observers here, and when you push this button, it's going to activate this redstone line, sending the door back down to the surface. What would really help is if I actually placed a piece of redstone dust on top of this block here so I can actually power this piston. I was wondering why it wasn't working then. What a fail. There we go. And now the door is being sent back down to the surface. And there you go. That is how you build yourself a 10 by 10 piston door. I hope this tutorial was easy to follow and easy to understand. This was quite a challenge for me to do because it was actually quite a lot to talk about and to go over, so I tried to make this as quick and brief as possible. If you did enjoy today's video, then please do smash that like button, it will be highly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, then please do consider subscribing, as I really would appreciate that too. Anyway, hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya! Oh, okay, that was a lot of fun to record. I will be honest with you, that was probably about my 8th attempt at recording this video because I just kept messing up. I either kept messing up the redstone or my commentary went out the window and I got really hot and flustered at one point. I just had to take myself away, get a drink of water and give myself 10 minutes. Honestly, you think I'm good at this stuff? I'm not.